Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Gary Holt from Exodus and formerly from Slayer, and you're listening to The Razor's Edge.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to The Razor's Edge with Jamie. Anyone that knows me knows that one thing I love is female-fronted metal. And today we have a group proving why I love it just so damn much. Here to talk all about their upcoming second album, Blossom, released 2nd of June. It's only Luke Fabian from the incredible Pupil Slicer.
Hey, thanks for having me. That was a good intro.
Oh, thank you very much. Sir.
And you said Fabian as well, like my dad with his English, ness would be like, it's not Fabian, it's Fabian. So you hit that on. So yes. Well done.
I was trying to think, how else could you pronounce that then? I suppose it's Fabian.
Fabian, I guess, because a lot of Europeans just say they think that's my first name, which is understandable because in European countries and like Italy and Spain and stuff, it's like quite a common first name.
That is very true. So Fabian Luke.
Lucas.
Oh, yes, of course.
Exactly.
So before we get into it, sir, take us back ever so slightly. I don't know if you heard, but a few years ago, the world just kind of shut down thanks to a certain pandemic. As a new, upcoming band at the time, how was that time period for you guys?
Well, I think it was ultimately a fortuitous time, in the sense of there was a dearth of music. Lots of the big bands, like Lamb of God and those level bands, kind of put their releases on hold. And that obviously unbeknownst to us at the time, but as we kind of got to see the mechanizations and workings of how like the music industry works for our publicist and the label and such, like that created a hole, I think, and it was just one of those things that we dropped in at that, and people seemed interested, and it kind of just went from there and continues to go, much to our disbelief, but obviously also gratitude also.
I never understood that, why loads of bands just went, okay, well, the world shut down, so we're not going to release anything. I'm thinking, you've got people stuck in their house. All they can do is listen to music.
Well, I think it's them because of the follow-on to do with, like, I imagine, anyway, to do with, like, the touring and stuff.
I get that side of it, but, yeah, I don't know. I just thought it was an ideal opportunity. Like, people are stuck in the house listening to nothing but music. Let's give them new music.
Maybe I'm misremembering, but it wasn't that long ago, really, was it? It feels like a long time ago because the band's been pretty much working solidly from that point. Because, hey, you got to capitalize on these things and not sit in your hands, because some people drive for this their whole life and never get anything near it, and drive themselves to debt, lose their mind, burn all relationships in their life. And we haven't had to do any of that. And it's kind of just happening. So often when the band are all moaning and waxing lyrical about being tired and stuff like that, I just say, remember that bit of perspective, because even you or someone in your position 4 years ago would have literally broken your arm to do what you're doing. So absolutely. Shut up and get in the van.
So before we talk about the band, let's just learn a bit more about yourself as an individual. Where did that love of music and metal come from for you personally?
Well, just music comes from my dad, really, who loves all sorts of music, like rock music and reggae and ska and hip hop and pop music and music from films and all sorts of stuff, really. And he wasn't into metal so much, but he liked Genesis and Pink Floyd. And that, some 70s prog and stuff like that, and the Jam and the Who and Oasis, and dad rock, truly British dad rock, stuff like that. But then I just kind of got into metal and stuff when I was about 13 or 14, I guess, through Maiden, I assume. Probably through Maiden, and then through some older people that I know, I got into like Slayer and Pantera and more extreme metal, like Strapping Young Lad and stuff, and hearing that in like the early 2000s, and being into new metal because I'm 33, so Chocolate Starfish and Hybrid Theory, which is huge things. I guess actually I was probably into that first, and then through that kind of got into classic metal and stuff.
Everyone seems to have that like gateway band when it comes to rock and metal. Like, even if your music taste is so polar opposite to that band now, everyone has a gateway band that got them into that world.
Of course, yeah. I mean, everyone my age, in the late, who's in their mid-20s to like early 40s, basically, like must have a band like that from the new metal thing.
Oh yeah. Chocolate Starfish, I had to get a new copy because I played it that often. It didn't work anymore.
Yeah, I saw we saw Limp Bizkit at Wembley Arena, which has been rescheduled about 4 times or something, but went with my wife and some of my friends, and it was just like brilliant. Yeah, it was just fucking sick. Wes Borland's the man. The bass player wasn't playing with them because he's not well at the moment. And he's taking some time off the road. As is Fieldy as well, actually. So all my new metal bass playing heroes are just on the bench at the moment. So I'll take that as a sign that it's calling for me to do it.
Yes.
So,
we heard it here first. The new
that
bass player
probably
for
won't
Korn.
happen. That probably won't happen. I mean, I've got my resume is pretty good for it though.
So, at what point did you go from being a fan of music to being like, I want to play this. I want to learn to play this.
I've always played music really, like since I was like a kid. And I joined Slicer. I've been in like many bands, multiple bands at the same time with different types of metal. When I was younger, I played in cover bands and like the school jazz bands and stuff like that. So I just joined Slicer because they were playing shitty grindcore, and I thought that'd be fun. And then it just kind of spiraled out of control from there, really, through the mad and ingenious of Kate. Once Kate kind of had the team, me being part of that team with Josh, basically, we kind of built out from there, and then we've added on a live guitarist. Firstly, Frank Muir, my friend, who's now kind of taking paternity leave. Congratulations to him. He's just had a baby. Henry. I'm assuming that's named after Henry Rollins. Big up Frank for doing that. And now Alex Brown, who just literally just did the last tour with us, who had maybe 2 or 3 practices with me and Frank as like strings handover, then maybe 1 or 2 full practices with the band, and then just played 18 days or 20 days or something on tour. So he's a beast. So yeah, that's how we're kind of rolling Slicer. But to answer your question, it just kind of happened really. Like I didn't really expect Slicer to happen or anything. Like 10 years ago or whatever, I really wanted my bands to play at TechFest. None of my shitty gent bands either did. But hey, Pupil Slicer did. But maybe it's just serendipitous. Is that the right word?
I'll be honest, I have no idea. I'm not even sure what that word means. I'm from Birmingham, man. I'm not that clever.
Oh, come on, man. People from Big Brains and Brum. You got that big new library.
That's very true. We do have the Spirograph library. This is very true.
Yeah, it's nice. It's nice. Go up on the roof there. That's a nice spot.
Go grab a dictionary, learn some new words.
They got the Shakespeare reading room. They got transported from the old library. It's pretty cool shit.
I love the fact you know the layout of the Birmingham library.
I've been there a couple of times. My sister lived in Birmingham for like 5 years.
Oh, that makes sense.
So.
So your debut album Mirrors came out 2 years ago, but how long were you guys together before that was released?
Probably they were together for about 1.5 years, just fucking around being I like to say being pretty shit until I joined. And then I joined about 4 years ago. So I guess I've been in Slicer for about 5-6 years now. So we were just doing the odd weekender here and there, playing grindcore, learning Converge songs, playing in pubs. We did a couple of like tribute shows. We did a death one, which had all these slam bands and us, and we did a cover of Spirit Crusher, which I hope to bring back into our repertoire. Because Alex, the guy that's playing now, he's a death metal kid basically. So I haven't really got to sell that on him too much. He knows of that shit already. Or do Symbolic or some death shit. That would be really cool. But yeah, I was with them for about 4 or 5 years. Just gigging around London mainly. We'd played a gig in Cardiff once and a couple of gigs in the Midlands. Northampton maybe. Yeah, I think that's about the most northern we got actually. No, tell a lie. We played in Leeds. We played at Boom.
Oh, there you go.
There you go. So that was pretty northerly for us to get.
But how did you actually meet the guys then?
Oh, just through like a online advert. And
Okay.
Kate ghosted me hardcore. And we were talking about this in the van the other day as part of Alex's orientation into the band. And in essence, at the time, I had a picture where I've got two kind of steins in my hand, big, double pint glasses from where I'd been on my stag do with my friends, and we kind of went to a Central European country, and I had that, with my dreads and stuff. And Kate looked at that picture and went, "Nah, this guy's a waste man. I'm just going to ignore him. Like he's just playing gent and stuff. This isn't really our guy." I went, oh, "Okay, that's nice, thanks." And then just months and months went by, and I was like, "Are you saying anything or what?" And then Kate was like, "Well, you might as well," because I think literally no one else replied. So initially, Pupil Slicer wasn't the most attractive proposition. Clearly, it was just like we sound a bit like Carcass. I think the advert was Kate found it. It was like we're doing sound a bit like Carcass. Want to play some shows. We're established. In what world? I don't know that we're established. Like to the 10 people that Kate knew in London, they may be fairly established. Yeah, and it was like, we'd like to do some stuff like Converge, Botch, and Dealing with Escape Plan. And I was like, okay, grindcore with ambition. I like it. Let's see how we go. And then I joined, and Kate went, "Fucking hell, you can actually play." Because there's like, in one of the songs they had, there's like a bar of 3/4, which is like, whoa. And I think the other bass player was like, "Why is this even here? It's stupid." And I just played it. They were like, "Wow, played the bar of 3/4. It's fine." I was like, "Yeah, it's cool." They were like, "You're in. That's it." And
Easy, mate.
And then the next day we played a gig in Kingston, which is in West London, and I had the music on because it was all tabbed out, so I had the music on stage. And there was like a punk band who played called Snake, and they looked like punks. One of them looked like the guy Snake from The Simpsons. He was like, "Man, that's the most fucking insane thing I've ever seen." I was like, "What?" He's like, "Reading music on stage." I was like, "Yeah, punk in it, man." That's like, in that context, it's kind of punk. But yeah, honestly, that's my origin story precisely.
That is phenomenal.
Yeah, we recounted it the other day, so it's still pretty fresh in the brain.
That's a great. I love that. So, as I said in my intro, I have a love for female fronting metal. Ever since I discovered Kitty back in the year 2000.
Nice.
I think part of it is the fact you just don't expect to hear that sound coming out when you see them get on stage and start singing. But does that make sense? Am I making sense of that?
I mean, yeah, because normally you just expect like a big Chad dude to be like, "Yo."
Yeah, it's like, you see some big hairy dude. Like I expected that to come from him, but yeah. But Kate has an amazing range of vocals, from the screaming to the melodic stuff and whatnot. Can you remember the first time you heard her like sing?
So, right, in terms of Kate's vocals, they've improved, and Kate has found their voice as we've kind of gone through this journey, really, to be honest, and being brutally honest. And even the last album, some parts were being recorded, and Kate saying to me, "Oh, this sounds like Chelsea Wolf. That's cool, isn't it? I can do that." And you're like, "Yeah, that is really cool. Keep doing it. And keep tapping into that feeling that allows you to do that." And and likewise, I'm learning how to be a vocalist as well to support Kate, because sometimes Kate can't just playing and singing and running around and falling over and kicking me, running into people in the crowd. So Kate's cardio is not super good. So that necessitated that I had to learn to be a vocalist too, which is something that I never really envisaged. So in that respect, kind of just going on that journey really of becoming a better vocalist. But yeah, Kate's range is diversifying, because before it was just kind of like kind of oversaturated high pitch thing, or the kind of sass, what we would call the sass vocal, which is just Kate kind of talking in a spicy way and bitchy kind of way over a break, to actually doing cleans and stuff. And Kate's been doing them live as well. We've introduced a backing track to kind of beat things up live a bit, in terms of having some vocal layers and stuff. to replicate what's on the album, because my clean vocals aren't quite there yet. To be able to do that full DIY. But yeah, we're getting there. I kind of think of it like there's this Mastodon thing I've read years ago, and they're kind of like, when you see us live, it's like a pub version of the album. It's like a pub band playing our songs, and I'm kind of like, yes, I understand what you mean by that. So it's kind of, some bits we've simplified, or maybe leave that bit out, or put that bit of the backing track to help us out, or maybe simplify that guitar part, or I just won't play for a bar because I'm singing there, and stuff like that. So you learn these things as it's happening in real time.
But that's the beauty of live music, though, because if you wanted to hear it exactly how it sounds on the album, just sit at home and listen to the album.
But some people do. I mean, we can be a tighter band, there's some bands where there's not really much scope for that, like Meshuggah, for example, or Tool. Like, I don't know how that gets better, but they're like 55 and it's their full-time job.
Well,
or 60, I don't know, and they got a full team. So and they've been doing it for what, like 30 or 4 years. So
quite a while now.
So not 40 years, 30 years, I guess. But anyway, you see my point?
No, absolutely,
Yeah.
Absolutely do. But like I said, to me, I prefer it to just sound that little bit different. Because I remember seeing Megadeth live, and I got so bored because it just sounded like the record.
Really?
I was like, I could just go put on the record at home and listen to this, Dave. I'm all right, cheers, mate. Like,
oh, sure. Was his voice all right?
His voice was fine.
It's a bit shot sometimes.
Maybe I was going to say I caught him on a good day. Is it a good day?
It's a good day for Sid Megadeth every day.
So, as I mentioned earlier, your first album, Mirrors, came out 2021, and you guys hit the ground running. What was it that got you guys into people's eyes so fast? Was it a particular
into
song?
People's eyes? Into people's eyes.
Ears, eyes, wherever.
Ears, eyes. I mean, to be honest, the team that we had was fantastic. Shout out to Becky, our publicist, and Will, who work at Prosthetic. I think, so I answered a question recently that was kind of like, obviously a big part of the band, the identity of the band is derived from kind of Kate's identity. And from that, how, when you're represented in the scene, either in the mainstream press or just in the underground, kind of how tokenistic is that? And I kind of answered that it's not really that tokenistic, because we put up videos, and Kate still receives hateful comments from all sorts of people, in the UK, in the US also, mainly in the US, I think. And it's kind of like, well, if that's still happening, then there's a reason that we have to do it. So, there's a reason for it to exist. That is kind of a justification in of itself for there to be a thing. So I think that kind of part of representing kind of the trans community in metal and just queerness generally, because at shows it's basically like really cool young queer people, or just prog dads like me, and then also just hardcore kids as well. So that's a kind of mixture of like the people that gravitate towards us. So I think that had a part to play in it, and that was referenced in a Guardian article and stuff. And obviously it's good to be part of a wave of bands that is bringing more diversity into the metal scene in a positive way. And it's not when people say, oh yeah, it's just like tokenistic or false, then it's like, I would say Mirrors is still grind either way. So fuck you. Maybe not maybe not as plainly as that. It depends on the context, but yeah,
It's just, I don't understand. As like, you get so many people like, the world is diverse, you have to respect them, and then on the other foot you got people going, no, it's still the dark ages, mate. It's like,
but that in metal, that is a thing. It's reality. It's the truth, right? So it's kind of like, because people into death metal and extreme metal, are some of them are kind of extreme people too, as the t-shirt says. So as Napalm Death said, so
yeah, I just never understood it. If the music's good, who gives a shit, mate? Just enjoy it.
In honesty, though, in terms of like actual interactions, we haven't really had anything serious, or seriously hateful, like at a show or anything. But that being said, I don't think we'll be playing in Russia anytime soon. Or if we were to go to like, I don't know, just for example, bits of Eastern Europe, it would be good to have some people out there to help with, like if our merch guy was like huge, I think that'd be cool. This could happen. But I mean, that's not singling out those places or anything. It's just saying over in Serbia, it's pretty live.
Fair point. Does Kate take that into like her mind when she's writing lyrics and writing songs and stuff like that? Does she let that motivate her for her music?
Well, of course, I see what you mean, like recycling that hate. I think part of it is sardonic and we just kind of absorb it as a band. Because one thing that was said is like, get this fucking BidenRock away from me. And it's like, hey, I'll be BidenRock. I'd rather be BidenRock than like TrumpCore, right? So it's like, we'll just sit around in the van and it's like, yeah, fuck those lefties and those liberals, like as a joke, because like someone else wrote on one of our sponsored posts relating to some album promotion, they were like, no anti-fascist metal for me, and I'm like, well, okay, then would you like some fascist metal then instead? So it's kind of like, what the fuck?
I don't understand people.
It's there, so it's kind of like you just have to but what I'm trying to say is like Pupil Slicer existing is a stand against that in of itself.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So you can do that plus be active against it, but it's there, so it's something to be dealt with. Which I think largely in the scene people are not really that tolerant of, to be honest. In the main. I mean, look at that geezer in Watain. He's throwing up Nazi sleeves and then he's kicked out. Right, so, but I mean that's black metal, so that's a whole other thing.
To upset black metal band, you've got to be really, really have done something really bad because they don't care.
We played in Norway on the tour. It was sick. We went to a black metal exhibit.
Black metal exhibit. Oh, that was amazing.
It was very well curated and thoughtful. About the genre, yeah. They don't care about mentioning Burzum. They're like, this is cool. And you're like, well, it's part of the genre's history. So
absolutely is. Poster boy.
Yeah. Indeed. That was also in a library, in the National Library of Norway, and I was like,
amazing. So Blossom is out very soon now. 9 days from the day we're recording this.
Is that it? 9 days.
9 days, at least if I can count correctly on a calendar. It's 9 days.
Thanks. That's wow. Yeah.
So how excited are you to get this out there?
I mean, really excited because we've been playing 3 songs live, which are the 3 singles that we have out, and we're not going to be able to work in any more songs. Apart from those 3, probably until Arctangent or maybe later in the year, when we've got some other shows on. But I'm just excited for everyone to hear the rest of it, really, because there's some posty material on there. There's some like really heavy technical stuff. From a personal perspective, Creating the Devil, which I think is the 4th track, Creating the Devil, and it's just like probably. It's like, I would say, some of the nastiest bass work I've ever put that one. So,
I made a note here of your bass solo in that song. Oh,
innit?
Oh.
So I was talking, yeah, nice one. Thanks, man. So yeah, that's what I was talking about, really. Just get some stuff out there like that. Just hear the whole thing. It's really exciting. So I think we haven't done that thing where you release all the best tracks. Because that was kind of like, I used to hate that. When you get the singles, then you're like, oh, well, where's the rest of the songs? There's just loads of filler. So we kind of thought quite carefully about what songs we'd put out. So we'd leave something back. So for when the album comes out, you can kind of take the whole thing in. I don't think it's still not too long. I think it's like 45 minutes ish, maybe 50. But we're not quite knocking the hour mark yet. Yeah. Next album, double album, in time, I'm sure.
Double album, 5 hours long. Fucking have the lot. So, you've saying you've released the three singles so far. Oh my god, I'm tripping over words. The 3 singles so far: Momentary Actuality, Blossom, and No Temple. What's the feedback been like so far for the tracks?
So in chronological order, in sequential order, we put out Blossom first, which was a kind of an intentional swerve because obviously that's not like anything that's on Mirrors. So some people's kind of reaction was, "Fuck these guys! What's this? This is crap. Where's the riffs?" Even like one of our really good friends, who I played it to before it came out, he was like, "Why have you done this?" I was like, "What do you mean?" He's like, "Why have you put the indie beat in a song and built it around it? I'm disgusted." And I was like, "Come on, man, you don't mean that." And then literally immediately after that, his other half walked in, who's not a metalhead, and was like, "That's probably the best Pupil Slicer song I've ever heard." So, but then equally, some people are like, "I can see the depth in it," or that you're trying to experiment and broaden a bit, and they kind of give us a pass for that. And that's appreciated for what it is. So I think live, it goes down really well. And like, we played some shows and some people were like singing the words, and I couldn't really believe that. It shocked us all really. But I mean, so that one, and then we put out No Temple, which is more of a straight up kind of like metal track that's got like Mafia bits in it and stuff, and people I think were like, "Okay, cool, with you." And then the final one was kind of still, it kind of had a hook in it, but it's still heavy. It's like 3 minutes long, and the reaction's been kind of like, "This is solid." So yeah, I think there's a nice smorgasbord of what's available on the album. We didn't really touch in it too much on the posty bits with the singles, but there's some kind of longer, shoegazy black metal inspired post. Did you like those songs? Did you listen to those ones?
I listened to the whole album. I love the whole thing. It's great, and I like the fact that not every song sounds the same. There is diversity to it. It breaks it. I really enjoyed it, and it's funny saying how Blossom got a lot of stick, but Blossom was a highlight of the record for me. Absolutely loved that song. That and
nice.
Creating the Devil in Our Image, the 2 songs that stood out the most to me. They are fantastic songs.
They're probably my favorite songs as well.
So there you go.
Everyone else's favorite song is Song at Creation's End, which I'm a fan of, but in the rest of the band, that's the kind of one that I think people are most proud of.
It's a fantastic album, but like I said, you've made this album a bit more diverse with different styles of songs. How does the album stand out against Mirrors, in your opinion?
Stand against it, or how is it different to it?
Well, bit of both.
Both. Well, I mean, the first one, as Kate has said quite a few times, is kind of like, here's some riffs. I like Converge. We like Dillinger. Check it out. And then just do that. So the bits that we were praised for on Mirrors were the kind of bits like the title track and Collective and kind of Husk, where we were kind of just being a bit more ourselves. So we kind of just thought to pursue that avenue and then just go down that route. And having Lewis Johns on board, who was the helmsman of the whole record from a practical and creative sense, because he crafted that out of his bare hands from us with performances and with Kate creatively. Like with him, we kind of just upped the production value, songwriting, the performances, and we actually just did it in a studio properly. Whereas before, it was all recorded at different locations and then stitched together remotely. Like, so Josh recorded the drums with Mike Mallion, with the drummer in Monuments, because they live in Croydon, over that area in southwest London. I did the bass at my house on ridiculously, like, during a heat wave. It was horrible. With my friend Adam Taylor, who's an Everest Queen, and he engineered the bass at my house. And Kate just did it at home over a couple of weeks. You see what I mean? And then we went to our friend Jake, who's our sound guy, live when we can afford him. You got to pay your friends, didn't you? what we can afford and went to his studio and did the vocals. Do you see what I mean? So that was quite a disjointed, dislocated process. It then got put together, and I think we were just relieved that we were able to cobble something cohesive out of that to the point where, you know, Blossom, we did like a band, like a proper band in the studio. So pretty cool.
That must be so weird. You're all recording your own parts in different houses. You put them together, like, holy shit, that actually sounds like a song when you put it together. That's pretty cool, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, not at first though. It was quite, yeah. I mean, we went through a lot of different mixes because Pedram, from Frontier mixed it for us. So we got lots of his, knowledge of wheels going on and such.
So before we start wrapping up, if people are listening to this and they've never heard Pupil Slicer before,
yeah,
what's 1 or 2 tracks you might recommend checking out from the stuff that's out there at the moment?
That's available. I'd say to go and check out No Temple because it bangs, but there is some complexity there. And also probably Wounds, because that's the song that apparently people like the most, and it's weird. And we always play it live. So on those bases, my personal favourite song is probably Mirrors Are More Fun Than Television. Because it's kind of like a proggy metal track. And Blossom, because I'm really proud of the bass on it. And proud that we could make a song like that band. Sorry, you just saw my beagles kind of jumping on me.
I did see your beagle. I was going to say it's a very cute dog.
There's 2 of them, Ozzy and Dio.
Brilliant. Love it. I used to have a cat named Ozzy. There you go.
Did you actually?
Yeah. Ozzy and Geezer are 2 cats when I was a kid.
There we go.
See?
Nice.
So obviously, just before we go as well, you just mentioned you guys have just come off tour in Europe. How was the tour?
The tour was an incredible experience. It was with Boris, who, for those who don't know, are kind of experimental Japanese noise, punk, psychedelic rock band. They're very, I was just trying to think, drone band. They are extremely gracious and kind people that went out of their way to help us wherever they could. Very personable. The crew is fantastic. Yeah, we survived. I'm pretty sure we broke even too. So I was talking to Kate about cooking the book. So for a shitty band like us, that's exemplary work. There was no fights. Yeah, no proper fights. No run-ins with authorities. Nothing really valuable was lost, apart from patience at times, but that's fine. And it was just an amazing experience to just go and play all around Europe like that. Like we did 6 shows in Scandinavia, 2 of which were headline kind of DIY smaller shows. And it just kind of makes you appreciate like all the work that's put in by people to just keep this system, this network of like gigs that people just constantly rely on and going fishing for their livelihoods and stuff. And like, how much it means to people when you just go to their random town or you just in a city near them. They're like, oh, this is so cool. Thanks for coming. And that means a lot. Or they drive for like 4 hours across Germany with their mum and they're like, hey, had to come here and see you guys. Do you know what I mean? So
that's amazing.
It's just a good learning curve, really. So got to circle back on it and make the group think about what we're going to do on the next tour to improve. So never want to sit still or be complacent. Complacency is the death of ambition, as they say.
Absolutely. And I love that though, because you're sat there and you're saying to me, like, you can't be complacent, like you say. You've got to keep learning, keep evolving, keep changing, keep going forward at the time, and keep chugging away until you gear up there. And I love that ambition. It's fantastic.
But then also find some time to rest.
Yes.
If you don't. Kate the other day was like, well, the band's just what's gonna happen is we're just gonna go and go and go until I explode, and then it just can't happen again. And I said, well, in everyone's interest, and of course yours, from a health perspective, that's obviously not the ideal outcome. So I'd rather slow down for like 2 or 3 years than that happen, because that's not worth it.
You got to rest. You're hearing it here first. Kate, if you're listening, make sure you rest.
That being
Look after
said,
yourself.
though, that being said, we are playing at Portals Festival on Sunday, and then we've got Download and Mystic in Poland week after that. So, hails, brother.
I was
Let's
going to
get to
mention.
work.
I was going to mention Download. That is going to be very exciting. Sold out Download Festival, playing those hallowed grounds of Donington. That is going to be amazing.
I mean, yeah. So with that, admittedly, the rest of the band was like, "Oh, going to spend the whole weekend at Download," and I was like, "Yeah, sure, that's cute." But we got an offer in to play Mystic Festival, which is a big festival in Gdansk in Poland. It's like kind of one of the biggest Polish metal festivals, and that came in on the Saturday. And I was like, no, we're not here to be tourists, my friend. We have to go and work and play this festival. So, but that being said, we're doing a kind of warm-up show on Wednesday at Download, like a smaller thing. And then we've got Thursday to go and see Metallica. So, get a bit off then. We play on Friday. Then we'll go to the Polish Festival on Saturday. So, and with Sugar are playing that one. So, hey, you
Oh, there
can't
you
have
go.
everything, but we're here to work, my friends. Not to be tourists. You know what I'm saying? This is like why some bands fall over because they think they're tourists, and it's like, no, come on, man, we're here to work. You know what I'm saying?
I love it. I love that mindset. You do what it needs to be done. I love it. It's great.
Thank you, man.
Luke, this has been so much fun. Thank you for taking the time out to sit and chat with us.
More than welcome.
Before we
Pleasure.
let you go, any plugs, social medias, websites you want people out there to go and check out?
Just go to the Pupil Slicer socials. I think it's pupilslicer.com now we have, and just buy merch because that's what we need. Buy merch, buy a record because that's how bands survive. And if you don't even like our band, but there's some other shit that you're listening to, like some of our friends in, I don't know, Death Goals or Blindfolded and Led to the Woods or Stop Crying or Cruelty or any bands that you like. That was just a few bands that I could think of to shout out then off the top of my head. But like, just go and support them and buy their merch. And buy direct from them where you can. Because without that, there ain't no bands. And ain't no one getting paid. And Exposure never paid anything for anyone. To quote the meme.
Thanks for listening. Make sure you keep up to date with future episodes by subscribing to our channels. For more information on this podcast, or for all the latest music news, reviews, interviews and more, head over to our website, www.therazorsedge.rocks.